Welcome everyone again to tonight's coverage of Practice 4 of the Platinum Endurance Championship. It has been a pleasure the last two practice sessions together with Jake and James, and we're back for another 3 hours at least of coverage from this practice session. Practice 4 currently going on, and I'm joined again tonight by my man Jake. Welcome, Jake.
Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
And if we go right to the action, we can see that we have a new overlay for tonight. We have a new theme for tonight. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys like it. It's a kind of an IMSA styled overlay. It has been, I have a headache from trying to get it to work, but it finally does now. And Jake, how do you think it looks?
Personally, I do really like it. You know, it just adds a bit more to the screen, you know what I mean? Like, it's very, very nice, at least anyway. I like the different colours and how all the classes, and it's a bit more visual.
Yeah. Well, still, don't get us wrong, still some problems to iron out here and there, but yeah, I think overall this looks better than what we had before.
Definitely.
And Jake, of course, last two practice sessions we saw a lot of cars out on track, but a lot of cars also haven't practiced yet. Yesterday, for the people who don't know, was a practice session as well. That started at 12 p.m. Central European time, so yeah, there was not in any way possible that I could commentate on that, because of course if you want at least some good coverage of 2 hours at least, it'll be 2 at night for me, so there's no way I could commentate on that. So yeah, we had of course the Mazda MX-5 series yesterday, but and that definitely delivered, didn't it, Jake?
Yeah, there was some very, very close racing, and I can't wait to watch the next one.
Yeah, next week we are on once again with the Platinum Racing League MX-5 series. Next week we are, let me quickly take a look. We are at, I have it here, we are at Lime Rock Park, which is the Grand Prix circuit, not to forget, which is a circuit which has always provided very close racing. And this is, I must say, a beautiful livery.
Yeah, it's very nice, and that's one of your favourite teams.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. That is an awesome livery here from Perry Oosterveer. And look who is on top once again.
Winston Echo.
Exactly. Well, if we do it like this, look who is on top once again. But also look who's the only team out on track. But yeah, this team almost settled in second. Long way gone from P3, and almost impossible still to catch up to the Tempest Motorsports team. Although the Tempest Motorsports team did not get out on track up until this point.
No, well, they'll be doing their mandatory 15 laps that they have to do, because you have to do that in order to partake in the race weekend or race day. So you have to do a minimum of 15 laps of practice, and that's what they'll probably be doing now. But certainly a team that probably doesn't need practice, considering that they've dominated the last few races.
Oh yeah, definitely. I still haven't asked how it has gone for them in Silverstone, but I guess looking at the points gap, they took a win there as well.
Yeah, that team is just unstoppable.
It definitely is. Well, here we have Winston Eckel out on track in the number 37 LMP1. Beautiful livery. That's one of my favorite ones in the field, I think. The one I like the most, I think, is not far from this one. I don't think it's out on track. This team is a new team though. I don't know, is my SDK not running again? Oh no, it is. No, it is.
Same.
We have
same
liveries.
to me.
We have liveries at least now. But
You
yeah,
said LMP1, by the way, it's an LMP2.
this exactly LMP2. But hey, the sound, is it good now? Because I think last stream Jake was a bit silent, but I hope it's good now. The sound levels are good now. Anyways, only one GTE team out there once again, and I think that just tells you that that clause is. I think it's for the better that we take it out.
Yeah, definitely. There's not been much running in the GTE category. I think the max we've had while covering this is like 2 cars in the GTE class out session.
Yeah. No, I think 3. 3 out on track. Yeah, 2 out on track, but 3 in the session. I think that was the first practice session we had. But looking at the time this practice session is held, I think that it will be a bit more populated.
I mean, it's at a more ideal time.
Exactly. For everyone who is here in the live stream, welcome, good evening, and if you have any questions, of course, ask them to us and we will happily answer them. As we look again to this man Andrew Fields, Fields Academy Motorsports, and again it looks like Andrew behind his teammate Alberto Gazzapo, who is in 3rd at the moment.
Well, as I was saying yesterday, I do really like that Porsche livery.
Oh, I think everyone does. You know what it gives me vibes to? It's the Wolf livery from the Virtual Le Mans series.
I didn't watch the Virtual Le Mans, unfortunately, but it does look like probably a real livery that would be used in real life.
I don't think the livery is used in real life, but it is the Wolf car by you know the football team Wolves. You're from the UK, so you should know them.
Don't follow football.
You should know Wolves. They're playing in the Premier League.
Okay, I guess they're yellow and black and white.
They're mostly orange and black. They're kits, but I think the only thing that was different from that car was that there was a Wolves logo on the side, but still a very good livery. At least it gives me vibes to that livery, and I always like that livery, so I think that's why I like this livery the most out of the whole field, really.
Yeah, well, it is a very nice livery, I'll say that. To be honest, they're quite close in GTE and GT3. The fastest GT3 is a 143.1. The fastest is in GTE is 142.5. So quite close. Well, we do know, Dan, that these GTE and GT3 cars are very close in just pace, to be honest.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's look at the track time, I think, because that will have something to do with the track as well. As you can see, track is 22 degrees. It's the best we've had all week long, and teams are taking advantage of that. The first 32 we see in our broadcast, I think the fastest beforehand was a 133.4 or 133.5, also by not by Platinum Racing League, because I think Vincent went out 2 days ago and he could only manage a 33.8 or something.
Yeah, I think, yeah, the fastest we got was a 33. It was in the 33s, so that is a new fastest for practice. Well, with these optimal time track temperatures, that'll be ideal for the drivers. Oh
yeah, well, of course, as you can see, top right of the thing we have on the right hand side, 1936 in-game time. So we are definitely at a point where if the temperature is gonna be changing, it's only gonna drop instead of increase. So yeah, it's cloudy out there, as you can see in the background as well. The sun just poking through behind the grandstand, just going under. But I think, Jake, we will be in for, I think, at least an hour of good dark running.
Yeah, it'd be good to see what pace these guys are doing during the dark, because that's something we actually haven't seen yet. We've seen all day running, and now we're starting to get to the dark running. So it'd be nice to see what these guys can do in the dark and nighttime.
Yeah, well, the driving point. Welcome to the stream, buddy. He says hello, and thanks for popping in.
That
It's
is my mate Max.
yeah.
Actually.
It's the perfect time to watch some pack. So, well, what do we say about LMP2? What time do you think they will be getting down to on quali trim? Because I expect that 132.8 from Winston Eckel to be in race trim as he is still going.
Yeah. Well, 138, maybe 130s even. They could probably get down to doing lap times on quali trim, but if they keep that, because he's probably doing race runs right now, I'd imagine.
Yeah, as you can see bottom right, 17 laps on this stint.
Yeah, so he'll be doing race runs. So once he pits for quali, I reckon he'll get maybe mid 31s, if not high 30s.
Yeah, I think around the same. I think the quali runs will come a little bit later into the day. But dark running, we haven't talked about that too much yet at this track. Of course, this track has night lighting, so it never really gets dark at the circuit of Daytona.
Well, yeah, because it's obviously in America and they have a lot longer days than we do. In terms of sunlight, that is. Not, they don't live for longer. No, they definitely have longer sunlight because it's so warm there all the time. And in Florida, obviously, it's a very nice warm temperature. So it's going to be good though to see some good running. But yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think qualifying the Tempest, if they get a gut lap together, I think we will see them dip down into the 129s. If they are just able to do so, I think that'll be a massive achievement. I don't think this Platinum Racing Team LMP2 Blue Team will do it. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing towards their drivers, but I don't think they will dip down below the 130s. And I think Tempest, just with the pace they've showed just everywhere and just all the time, it's yeah. I think that just tells you how fast they are, really.
Yeah, well, once you get this track right in LMP2s, you are very, very much on the pace.
It isn't a long track, or in kilometers it is, but because you're full throttle for so long, of course, the lap just flies by.
Yeah, it's one of them tracks where it seems like a long track in terms of, on paper it is, but when you actually drive it, it's not.
Exactly. Well, what are you looking most forward to in the race, Jake? Is it just the racing itself, strategy playing out, or what is it?
The thing I'm looking forward to most is probably the strategy of the teams, because Daytona being one of them tracks where you can make so many little mistakes and it can cost you so much time, it's going to be good to see how teams can like manage the tyres and put all that into, you know, how they're going to do their race strategy and when they're going to pit on what lap, because that's another thing that you need to think about when racing these cars. Is you just need to think about, like, okay, how long is this tyre going to last, how long is fuel going to last, are we double tinting the tyres, you know, it all plays into it when endurance racing. So I think that's going to be one that they are going to think about, and then the strategy is something that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing.
Oh yeah, me as well, but oh, now he just pops into the pits, but this man, look who is top of the GT3 standings with an absolute banger of a time. Who might that be? We all know him, I think.
He had a great first race yesterday.
Oh yes, he did. A great second race as well. Played the strategy perfectly, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing though, isn't it? It's about racing and how quick you are, but it's also about the key strategy. Like he left it so late to pit. So that was probably what helped him get that win. But yeah, strategy is one of them things where if you don't get it right, it can really bite you in the back. But if you get it spot on, then it can push you forward so much.
Yeah, I think it also depends which position you're in when you're making the decision, because of course if you're at the back of the field, you have nothing to lose. You're already at the back, so you can take those risky decisions. And maybe something which is probably 20% chance of it working out and 80% chance of it failing, you will still probably take it, because if you fail, that it doesn't matter because you're at the back of the field already. So I think it depends on which position you are in, which kind of decision you make.
Yeah, definitely. If you're at the front, you want to be taking more precise calls, whereas if you're at the back, you can take more of them risky calls, you know, like maybe pit a bit earlier than the top guys are doing, maybe pit a bit later than the top guys are doing, you know. It's all about how you manage the fuel and the tyres when it comes into your favour.
Oh yeah, and what do you think is going to be crucial for strategy? Is it double stinting, triple stinting maybe? What might it be?
To be honest, seeing as it's Daytona and the tyres with the track temperature that it's going to be, I reckon maybe double stinting might be an option for teams to do with the tyres, because obviously drivers will have their set stints and set times, but when they obviously do the tyres, you don't have to change it every single pit stop, unlike some other motorsports. So these guys will be probably double stinting the tyres, so that they can get the most out of them, and so they don't lose as many positions in the actual race, because pit stops here can take up to about 30-40 seconds, maybe even a minute, so if with driver swaps and fuel and everything, so that's going to cost you loads of time on track. Unless they pit under a safety car or something, then they're not gonna lose that much time when if that's the case. But yeah, that's probably something they're going to be looking at.
Yeah, and what I think is going to be interesting as well is, of course, Daytona is known as a circuit that is not too harsh on tires really in the infield. Daytona is mostly the rear tires that get thrown about the most, I think, because of course these corners on acceleration you're going to slide, the back is going to step out, and those rear tires are going to really just wear out at that point. So I think just minimizing the slide out of the corner and just keeping the car as straight as possible, be as easy as possible on your throttle application is going to be a big factor in the race as well for strategy.
Definitely. If you don't have any rear grip, you're going nowhere. You will round and into the wall quicker than you can bloody drive the car. So yeah, rear tyres is the main one to look out for. I mean, the fronts don't wear down that much here at Daytona, so it's mainly the rear tyres. And if you're good at controlling oversteer, like really a lot of oversteer, then you're probably going to be alright to double stint. But it's just the tyres that will play into strategy on come race day. Yeah.
But first lap there from Frank Schmitz puts him immediately up at the P3, 9/10 off of Winston Eckel.
That's a good drive. That's a good time then.
I think that's definitely a very good first lap. But still, for the people who don't know, we don't have any GTE AM cars out on track. The thing that we do have though is still this. Let me get it up on screen for you. There it is. This is for the classes. So the black numbers are the pro cars and the white numbers are the AM cars. That is in GTE and in GT3, the case LMP2. They're all racing in the same class. And next season there won't be an there won't be a GTE class anymore. So we'll get rid of that pro class. And they're still discussing if they get a pro AM class in LMP2 as well, or just let them race for victory. But I think personally, if you have a bigger field, it is better to put them in separate classes so everyone has a chance of winning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's like up to 5 people that can win Le Mans, which is just crazy. So, although the fields may be slightly smaller if there is an LMP2 Pro-Am, it will still provide a lot more racing, and there will be a lot more challenge within different championships. As Delta Motorsport goes second fastest. Don't know what time it was, but 1:33.3 for Delta Motorsport.
Yeah, definitely.
That's quite a quick time. But yeah, if they have a Pro-Am class, then I think maybe it could shorten the field and give them more of a chance to win. But I quite like it how it is at the moment, where everyone's got a shot to win, no matter what class you were in. For LMP2, that is.
Oh yeah, it's very very at least the top is very close apart from P1, because the Tempest Simsports guy are still in the field, and you do not want to be behind them, because I think as a driver it's very depressing to be behind the Tempest Simsport guys, because they're all similar pace, and to most of the drivers in this field, they're pulling away. As you see an improvement for the Austin Sim Race's orange car in second place, a 143.139. It is Tobias Kurz in that car. He just improved, as we see the Fields Academy Motorsports car now jumping up into P2, 143.022. How far do you think will we see that lap time drop, with of course the track temperature now being, let me quickly check, the track still 22 degrees. How far will we see that still drop, you think?
I think we could see it drop maybe about, I think we can see maybe drop maybe another second or so. So as there's an LMP2 running quite wide there, coming into the horseshoe. Yeah, I think we could maybe see it drop another second or so, potentially, because as track temperature gets better, the tyres will obviously, you know, start to get more grip with the track. So it just all depends. We'll see how it plays out, but I reckon maybe even half a second. I reckon it's going to come down a bit more.
Oh yeah, and I think we see Winston Eckel in the pit lane now. Let's see how many laps he has done on his stint. He's done 24 laps. 25 laps actually. And we saw, I think, who was it? Was it Vincent Ossem's doing 32 laps on one stint? Is that...
What, yesterday? No, not yesterday, the last time we...
Yeah, 2 days ago I think that was.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, it must have been something like... He did some 30 odd laps on one stint, so that's clearly a long race run that he's gone for. Which is going to push him up to help him... what do you call it? Hang on. Words, English.
Well, my question just is Winston now going to pit for fuel? Or is he just going to go back and return to the garage and put new tires and full fuel and go out again? What do you think he's going to do? As I think that's Perry Oosterveld waiting on him.
Laps. So he may be doing a long race run stint. So, yeah, I reckon he's probably just paying for fuel and tires.
You know what I think happened here, Jake? You see this man. I think that he has run out of fuel.
It does certainly seem like that, because he is still attempting to get into the box.
Yeah, I think he's run out of fuel just in front of the pit box. But his stint was only 17 laps long, so that got very strange, very strange.
Maybe just underfueled it.
Could be the case. Well, that's the question you're always in. You always ask yourself in practice, what the hell are the drivers even doing? And that is, I think, one of the things that I like the most about practice, is just at some point you just don't know what the drivers are doing, and it's just a full guess game. And at the longer you watch, the more pieces of the puzzle you can put down, and at the end of practice you have at least a kind of vague idea of what they were doing. That is why so many people, I think, watch Formula 1 practice as well.
Yeah, it gives you an insight as to who... It doesn't always, but it can sometimes give you an insight as to who's quickest where. So, for instance, Arvenis, yeah, that's how you say that, yeah. Racing Red, High Back, Sim Racing Team 2, and Platinum Racing Team LMP2 Blue. They're all looking quickest at the moment, so come race day, people can compare how they do to where they were in practice or quali. And I think it just adds a lot to it, you know. It just adds, you can track where people go and see how they're doing. And yeah.
Oh yeah, well, this Tobias Kurz just popped up into P2 last lap. His lap time, 143.02. And still not into the 42s, but he is on a long stint. Look at this, at just the life of those tires. Juri Matthijssen, He also on a longer stint, but he is at the moment doing 1:43.59 last lap. That might have been down to traffic, but it looks like his tires are going off just a little bit more and quicker over a longer stint than it seems to be on the Austin Sim Racers orange car.
Yeah, well, you definitely got to find where the limit of them tyres is basically. So, for instance, like if you're running them for 23 laps, that's quite a short stint. So you want to be wondering, why are my tyres going off this quick? So that will be something that they'll all talk about.
Again, a couple of improvements this lap. What is it going to be for him? And that is a purple lap. Like I said, a couple of improvements. And the 1:42.828 pops him up into P1, just 0.02 of a second ahead of Arvensis Racing Red. But that is on a longer stint. He's coming to the end of his stint, I think.
Yeah, so they'll probably be may potentially have someone else waiting to jump in that car and do a bit more practice.
Well, but that tells me that there is at least, I think, 8 tenths to find for Tobias Kurtz in that car. Because, of course, he has low fuel now, but he also has... Let's look at it again. I think it was somewhere around 27 laps all tires. Yeah, there we go, 27 lap all tires, and he still puts in a 1:42.828. So I think there's still a lot, at least 8 tenths, maybe over a second to gain if he puts fresh tires and low fuel on. His teammate though, meanwhile, up into P4 he goes. He's looking good as well. It is Marcus Rima in that car. Caught up now behind, I think, one of the slower, I think it's Andrew Fields. Yes, it is. One of the slower Fields Academy Motorsports Porsches. But he just improved. So it looks like that car. Can we take a look if we do it like this? Can we then take a look at their stint length? Yes, we can. It looks like Marcus Rima is on a stint length of 20. So also not bad. That car looks to be working towards the end of the stint. As I think, was I right there, is that once again at the front of the field, Tobias Kurtz going fast once again. Yes, with a 1:42.81. That car, Jake, looks to be working very well the longer you get into your stint.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Some drivers can like not do very well on the opening stint, let the tyres warm up, do a few laps, and then all of a sudden they can manage these tyres that just over like long stints, just out of nowhere, you know, they're going faster, finding so much time on these tyres, and it's just cool to see how drivers react differently to different scenarios. So, for instance, these guys will probably be going fast. This guy will probably be quicker when his tyres are in that older state for him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, big news. We have the T3 Motorsports BMW out on track. This is probably one of my favorite teams in this series. Not because the team, but they have chosen a completely different car than anyone else in this championship or in their class. Everyone there is running the Porsche, and for the moment it doesn't look like it is affecting them that much, because they are at the moment in P7 in the championship from 11 with 38 points, and they could still get up into P5, so they could still get a decent championship position with that car. And I think any position that they can gain in the last race will be one that they will be celebrating in that car, because it is considerably slower, I think, than the Porsche in that class.
Yeah, definitely. BMW are one of the slowest manufacturers, sadly, in the GT class compared to the Porsche RSR, which is it's quite a consistent car, the Porsche, if you agree with me, Dan. You can do long race runs with it, and it'll still be very consistent lap times.
Oh yeah, I do agree, but the thing I don't like about it is it is just a little bit too oversteery for me, really.
Yeah, I quite like the Porsche, to be honest. I think it's quite a nice car and fun car to drive, and sounds really nice.
Oh, definitely true. But I like the BMW more because it's just that little bit more chunky, and for some reason I like heavier cars.
Well,
I think there's not much in it, but the car looks heavier, and for some reason I like it more. Also because I always love to support the underdog, don't we all?
Yeah, we always like to support a good person that is fighting from the bottom.
And I think this team that we are going to look at now, Freek Verkulen in that car, Team Kerstens. It was Pepe in that car earlier, but definitely an improvement in lap time. He just did a 1:45.0, 2.1 seconds off of the really fast guys, as we see Team 3 Motorsports pop up into P1. Like I said, that Eibach Sim Racing Team 2 team, not a very fast lap time from them there, as it's very close, I think, with the number 37 LMP2 from Winston Eckel there, but yeah, that got very close. But I think this team can definitely gain some positions in the championship. They are currently, if I look down at the GT3 AM Championship, they are in 5th. And if they can get some good result, and they can get ahead of Bikes Online, the S Racing, and YS Motorsports Blue, and they have a bad race. And whereas Bikes Online, the S Racing, not in here at the moment, and YS Motorsports Blue also not in here at the moment, so they could still grab 3rd position in that class. 13 points in it.
Yeah, it is very tight at the moment in the championship for sure, as we see Team Kirsten's
Bonk.
have a little crash there.
Well, that won't help in the race if he does that.
No, definitely not.
Consistency is key, like we say, so making those mistakes won't help you. And once again, this man, Yuri Matthijssen, in that car looks to be considerably slower than Tom Vos. A 1:44.16, while the fastest lap time of that car is a 1:42.83.
So that's quite a bit off pace, but it'll be something he finds. It could be anything, you know,
yeah.
maybe not used to the car or not used to the track.
It was Tom Vos in that car not too long ago, so this might also be his first few laps. As you see the T3 Motorsport car again going faster, the 1:41.612.
It is a very nice car though, that BMW. I do like it.
Oh yes, it is, definitely. I think the sound
Both of
it
them are,
makes.
though, to be honest, the GT3 and GTE.
Oh yeah. But the thing I like most is just the sound of the car when it downshifts. It's absolutely amazing. Just hear it. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. I'm gonna take a look though with this car, posting some purple sectors on its out lap. So let's see what the Karuma Motorsports car can do. Tono on Ordieres. This car, I think, was top of the standings 2 days ago. So let's see what this man can do. I think this is a little bit of a lower fuel run, but I might be wrong with that. A 14.05 in the first sector, a 16.14 in the second sector, and a 10.81 in the third.
I love how smooth that corner is that we've just gone through there.
Oh
It's just so smooth and satisfying to watch. Just the sun is actually starting to set quite rapidly.
Yeah, don't forget we're already an hour into this practice session, 8 o'clock Central European time, and I think it's somewhere around that in-game time as well. Let me quickly check for you. Here we have it on the right of your screen. Yes, just gone past, so I think that time is actually quite well synced to the real world time, Central European time, that is. But I expect the sun to be fully down in a couple of minutes. I think around half an hour, and the sun will be fully down.
Then the real fun begins.
Oh yeah, Karuma Motorsports car. That lap did not count, but we did have a new fastest lap. The Fields Academy Motorsports Porsche pops up into P1, 1:42.735 in the GT3 field. if we just quickly take a look. Go on.
Is very close to top 6 in the GT3 category, only separated by about 0.9 of a second throughout it all, so that could be very interesting come race day.
Oh yeah, Fields Academy Motorsports, that car now working well. I think that is teammate from Alberto Gazzappa improving there. It's Andrew Fields. That man has done a lot of laps around this track, and I think that will pay off come race day. But once again, it is Tono Ortieres improving for Kuruma Motorsports. Last lap time did not count. Oh, and he has some traffic into the chicane now. That is definitely gonna hamper his lap time. That never helps. 1:41.4 improvement there by the T3 Motorsport car. A lot of people seem to be improving. What was the track time? I did not look at it. Did you see it? You can take a look at it. 21 degrees. Yeah, the track temp has gone down 1 degree. Ambient temp is still the same. So engine's still working the same, as that is a very quick first lap time. Fields Academy Motorsports car improves his time once again. Alberto Gazzappo. So even though that P2 car came through, and I think that is courtesy of a little bit of slipstream from that P2 car, maybe, Jake. Jake. Well, that seems like Jake is not reacting. Let me quickly take a look if his internet hasn't gone down. Nope, he's still here with me. Don't know why, but hey, we'll do it on our own then. 6 of you here. If you could share it to friends and family to watch you, that would be absolutely amazing. Support us in our way to 1K.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, my Discord froze and I have no clue what we were on about.
Okay, so Jake is now back. Good. I said that this car seems to be working well the longer you get into the stint as well, but of course the track temp has gone down a bit. It's now 21 degrees. Ambient temp still 20. But we have, of course, the strategy stint length here, and we can see if we quickly do this. "29 laps done." And it looks like that car is at the moment in its prime. Everyone, I think, in that class, as you can see, Freek Verkoelen, John Sylvester, Marcus Rima, Andrew Fields. Who else do we have? Jure Matthijs, Tobias Kurtz and Alberto Gazzappo. And I think Shane McNeely. All doing longer stints. And no one really opting for a faster lap. 1:42.6. I think we are getting very, very close. We are 800ths off of the slowest GTE time right now.
Yeah, well, them GT3s are very, very close to GTEs. I think it's just more power GTEs have.
Oh yeah, definitely. Are you eating?
No, why?
This car improved. The last lap, I think. No, never mind, it didn't. It was very close though. 3/10 off only. Delta Motorsport car. Still in P2. Frank Schmitz. All among those Dutch people at the top of the standings. Top 3 is currently filled by all Dutch drivers. Ooh, as he gets very close to the wall. That almost ruined his longer stint there.
That is a very nice looking livery as well, though, to be honest.
Oh yeah. We're gonna see, I think, in a second, because it's still Vincent Ossam's out on the track. He has done 21 laps. If he can do, again, 25 laps, then we think 25 laps is the new norm for LMP2, and we might have been wrong. As while we were watching, Vincent Ossams pops up into P2 after 22 laps. His lap time, 1:33.01. Only a little bit over 1.5 tenths up.
Well, we know that Vincent Ossams is quite a quick driver, so he'll probably be looking to get that top spot at the moment.
Yeah, I think Vincent Ossops is more looking towards how his long run pace will be. He had a purple last sector Frank Smith from the Delta JM Motorsports 40 car, the number 40 LMP2. But that didn't translate to a good lap time.
Yeah, always. It's very annoying and sad when, you know, you're pushing the car and it just doesn't go what you call it? Doesn't go your way, basically.
Yeah. Well, last lap, Vincent Ossops had an improvement in the last sector as well. Most of the times, if you have an improvement in the last sector, you either got a very good run out of the bus-stop chicane, or you had it towed. Those are the two possibilities. And as you see him get very, very high there, that is something that drivers do. Getting very high on exit and then coming down to build up that speed a little bit more quickly. Is it going to work out for him though? No green sectors in his last lap now. Let's see, across the line he comes. And that is not a personal improvement, the 133.9, so quite far off actually. So I think that was courtesy of a little bit of slipstream.
Yeah, well, slipstream is everything in these cars, you know. It's very, what you call it? These cars are so aerodynamic that they're not like the quickest through corners, but they are very streamlined is the word I'm looking for. Streamlined cars, and when you're in the toe of someone, the guy ahead of you is just braking the air just ever so much more for you, so that you can get just that top speed for you.
Oh yeah, well, and you know what I think is interesting is the fact how the gearing works for some just for some cars, because it is also something you have to work on for this track, because if you're in the toe you gain so much more speed, and if your gearing is wrong, you're gonna suffer massively in the race.
Yeah, especially LMP2s, you know. I did a bit of practice in the LMP2s around here, and if you got your gear one bit wrong, you know, you just straight round. And you know, it just unsettles the car so much that you got to get everything right first. Yeah,
well, I don't think it unsettles the car that much. It's just the speed that you lose on the straight, which is really just hampering you then. Because even in the toe of a GT, once you get within that 1.2 second range, where at 1.2 seconds you gain that distance toe, which will help you definitely, but once you get into that range, you will see your speed starting to climb. TRX, hi, welcome to the stream, buddy. I will quickly finish the story and then we will answer your question. The race will be Saturday at 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. The qualifying starts. 1 p.m. Central European time, the race starts. I still answered your question. But I think it's just the speed that you lose that is the biggest factor in these cars, because even if you get into the toe of a GTE car, you get within that 1.2 second range, you already start gaining speed.
Yeah, definitely. As I believe we have someone in the waiting room.
Do we?
It's Max. Max, welcome.
Hello, Max. Seems like Max has some technical issues with his mic.
Can we hear you, Max? Can you hear us? Sorry. Well, while we wait on that, we can see. Oh,
there he is, Max. Welcome. This is our new boy.
Yes, this is the guy that I was talking to you about earlier.
Max, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm in. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm absolutely fine. Just taking a sip of my drink, and I think we have our answer, Jake. Let's quickly take a look. We're looking at Vincent Ossops right now. Stint length. Here we have our answer: 25 laps. Into the pits he comes. So I think we were wrong with that, Jake. I think 25 laps is the max amount of laps you can do in an LMP2.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's one of them things where if you lose traction, then you can you can start losing the tires a lot easier, and you can start losing that valuable lap time that is very crucial around endurance racing. Well,
yeah. Eduardo in the chat says Eduardo Sandu says super hyped for Saturday. Hello guys, super hyped for Saturday. We are definitely as well. We are very much looking forward to Saturday, and I think it's going to be very, very close to qualifying. Looking at the top of the standings in LMP2, because Frank Schmidt just popped up into P1 with a 1:31.799, and I've asked this Jake as well. But Max, what do you think? Where will they get down to in terms of time at this track?
Difficulties.
Okay, yeah, Max is gone once again. Well, I can't ask Max that then. Anyways, my thoughts on them getting down. Maybe it's the 1:29, like I said. But yeah, we are very, very hyped for Saturday. Not only for qualifying, but for the race as well. Longest race we've done in PAC, and the last race, of course. Some championships that, of course, need to be decided as well. So, still a lot of things that that need to change, and or that can change.
Yeah, well, if you do a lot more practice... Oh, and there's Karuma Motorsports. They are off into the grass. What's gone off there?
I don't know. I think he's gone off into the grass and bounced back from the arm code. I will take a look for you real quickly. Who is in that car? In that car, it's Tono. Here we have it. This is what happened to him. Coming into turn 1. Oh, and it just goes straight there.
Yeah, well, that is a very, very, very easy. Sorry, not tricky. Easy thing to do.
Yeah, this is exactly what I thought happened. He bounced into the arm code and then rolled back. You know what I think this is? This is a hardware failure, I think, because he can't turn anymore.
Maybe a wheel disconnect. As we welcome back Max. Max, welcome back after your technical difficulties.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but I'm not.
So you can see what's going on now.
Yeah, Max. Well, I asked Jake a little bit earlier, as we saw just a few seconds ago. The Delta Motorsports 40 car pop up into P1 with a 1:32.799. Where do you think they will get to in terms of lap time come quali day Saturday?
I think they can easily get into 130s, maybe 129s, but it will be good. Quali will be good.
Yeah. And traffic, how do you think the guys will manage it? As for the viewers, the red mark for Karuma Motorsports is that they're off track. So that doesn't mean that they're in the GTE class, for the people who got confused.
Well, obviously track is very important in qualifying. You want the slipstream, but you don't want the traffic and the dirty air. So timing when you leave the pits and obviously the warm-up lap would be very, very important.
Yeah, well, how important is it, do you think, in iRacing to prepare the tires on the outlap? Of course, we know in these LMP2 cars that the second push lap is usually 2 or 3 tenths faster if you do the exact same lap, because of course more traction tires are at that point in the proper operating temperature. But with these long straights, how do you think, or do you think it is very important to get the tire temps up? Or
I think it is. In the banking corners there, the back ends needs to be in the perfect window, otherwise you'll be sliding about and you'll lose loads of track time.
Well, I guess you haven't watched any of the other broadcasts, or did you?
No, this is my first one actually, so I'm thrown in the deep end.
Yeah. Well, we're desperate for some commentators, so every little bit helps. But hey, it is I think a 142.6 for the GT3 field, at 141.2 for the GTEs. Jake, we said it a couple of times now, but the GT3s are so close to the GTE field. How will that, how will that play out, you think, in the race?
Well, it's going to be very tricky for the GTEs to lap the GT3s, considering that, you know, if cornering wise, I think the GTEs and 3s are very, very on level. It's just going into them long straights that the GTEs will have that slight power advantage, as we see a 140.9 now from T3 Motorsport. But yeah, the GTEs and GT3s, they're just built so similar that through the corners, you know, it's very similar on pace. and lap time that it's just going to be very difficult come race day. When we hit that 1 or 2 hour mark, when they start lapping, that they're gonna be very, very close, and I think it's going to be easier for the LMP2s than it is the GTEs.
Oh yeah, but I think like Max, what do you think? Which class is the most difficult to be in when overtaken, or just overtaking traffic or being overtaken?
I'm not 100% sure. I've never driven iRacing before, but the LMP2s I think would be quite tough with a lot of aero on their cars.
Okay, and you, Jake?
I think if you're in the GT3s, that is like the hardest bit to be in, because you've got literally every other person on track is needing to lap you. So, but the LMP2s, Max does have a good point. It is very difficult because you always are getting constantly in that traffic. So, if you're in an LMP2, but then GTE as well, they're kind of like the mids. They're the mid of the entire pack. So I think GT3s, but Max does have a good point with the LMP2.
Yeah, well, I think GTE. So we have 3 people here, all 3 think something differently. I will say why I think GTEs. It is one thing being in the GT3s and needing the skill to lose less time or as least time as possible being overtaken. It is one skill being in the LMP2 and losing as least time as possible overtaking the lapped cars. But I think it's a whole different ballgame when you are in a GTE and you need to lap GT3s to keep your lap time up, but you at the same time have to look at the LMP2s coming past. I think it's that middle class syndrome, like James pointed out 3 days ago. Being overtaken and overtaking at the same time can at some moments get very, very interesting, as we see I think Team Kirsten's car spinning. But I think that will get very, very interesting at some point, because of course if you're a GTE and you have one moment where you don't look in your rear view mirror and you just pull out to the right to overtake a GT3 car, and at that point the LMP2 wants to pull out to the right to overtake you. At that same point, the LMP2 is gonna have to make a big move or a big jump to the right hand side to avoid you, and if he doesn't, you're off into the wall.
Yeah, well, it is a very good one though. That is a very good point, Dan, because obviously you've got the LMP2s that are lapping literally everyone else on track. But then you got the GTEs that are actually, as you've said, this kind of mid class. So if they do go to overtake a GT3 and suddenly an LMP2 appears out of nowhere behind them, then they're going to be kind of in a tricky situation, because they're going to be thinking, well, do I lose lap time behind this GT3 and wait to lap, or do I just let this or do I go for it and potentially cause an incident with this LMP2?
Yeah. Well, we've had a couple of laps around this track. We've had a couple of different people give us just a commentary on a lap around this track, but we haven't heard it from Max. We have heard it from, I think, 3 different people now: me, Jake, and James. But I think Max, you're good to give us a lap. I think if we wait until this car crosses the line around this track, to see just the difference in view on everyone and see what everyone thinks different about this track.
Sure, I'll take it away then. So round the banking corner we go with the BMW. It's a brilliant track here. Sun setting, beautiful scenery, and the cloud cover is just amazing. And now we're on board with the BMW, flattening out down the back straight, or the straight, I don't know the track well enough, and into the chicane. Hit 1, 2, and then another chicane, very tight, and now back into the banking. These tyres must be screaming with agony now. Into gear 6 we go, and still heavily banking. It's such a tight, well not tight, but there is tight sections, but such banking corners in this track. And here we go, across the line now. And back into the pit lane. No, sorry, I don't know the track well enough. And back into the more tighter section away from the bank corners.
LMP2 traffic coming in though. Always tricky, I think, with the LMP2s lapping them in the infield. Because, of course, on the banking, the LMP2s have the overspeed in a straight line, even though they have all that aero. The engine they have just pulls through. I think it's a Gibson engine they have in the back of that car. Not quite sure about that, but I think it is a Gibson. Or a Gibson engine, but...
Heard it's a 2019 Ferrari engine.
Well, of course, a difficult track, like you said, Max. Bankings, it almost has everything. A tight section, chicanes, low-speed corners, high-speed corners, everything really.
Yeah, well, it is one of them tracks, like Max said. The banking bit is probably the bit where the tyres are going to start losing it the most, and it's very easy to lose it on the banking, especially when you go out of the when you go from turn 1, as we saw, where you go back down onto flat surface pretty much while you're braking, and sometimes you get that snap of oversteer, which definitely is not ideal.
Yeah. As we have our third GTE car out on track, 4 GTE cars at the moment out on track. Very interesting.
We've been talking all practice sessions that the GTE field is obviously gone for season 2 of PEC, but there's not many people that are in the GTE field, which probably make it a bit easier for the LMP2s and the GT3s, because then they don't have that much people either to lap or be lapped by. But yeah, it's sad to see that the GTE cars aren't, you know, very busy. I do think GTE category is a very, very good one, and I quite like it, but it's just sad to see that there's not many people in GTE.
Yeah. But this car, Jake, it has been top of the GTE and field for I think most of the races, and at Silverstone actually, where we couldn't broadcast, they took the championship already, so there's nothing to play for really in the GTE AM category. But I think just the overall win at the season finale, and I think the last time we will see GTE cars in this field, I think taking that victory there will be something every team will be looking to do.
Oh yeah, definitely taking the last GTE win of PEC will be something that is on all teams' minds going into Saturday. And yeah, it's just it's a shame though, isn't it, Dan? Because we'll lose the amazing BMW M8 GTE. We can't hear that sound anymore. But yeah, I do love the GTE category, and maybe hopefully it comes back in the future sometime.
Yeah. Pepe, welcome to the stream, buddy. Thanks for popping by. It's been a pleasure really this week. I did not expect coming in or 2 weeks ago that we would be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with the MX-5, Thursday again with practice 4, and then tomorrow we have a day off, and then Saturday of course the race. I did not expect really to be this busy with the PEC series, but hey, we thought it's the last race of season 1. It's been a special season for everyone really, and let's just finish it on a high and make it a good one. Pepe says hi. Pepe, we saw you out on track earlier. Are you good for a little interview in a bit, maybe? Would be nice to speak to you and ask how the track conditions were out on track. Just pop into the waiting room and we'll get you into the commentary booth. As we have already 1.5 hours, that is a big snap. Hopefully not into the wall. Keeps that ball enough run off lucky there, but big snap. What do you think happened there, Jake?
Well, it's a very easy corner to lose it at if we can maybe get a replay, but I think it was just like a snap of oversteer, like I was talking about, going into turn 1, where you just have that it's coming down almost on the banking. As here we go, we have a replay here.
I think this is a different incident. Same driver though. There's going to be traffic. Oh, big crash.
Hopefully we don't see that on race day.
Wow. I think it's this crash that we were talking about. Is this Nick Carstens being pushed off by an LMP2? I think this is the incident. Yes, it is. And it is very unfortunate. Not something I think Nick could do anything about. Went off track, into the barrier, came back on track. Boom. Oh my goodness me.
That is definitely something that you don't want to see.
And I think those two were teammates as well, but luckily they were.
Well, the rule is, Dan, that the faster car does have to find the line round you, because obviously if you're put yourself in the view of the lapping of the car that's lapping the other drivers, if you're following them and then suddenly they move offline,
we can do that. I think. I have to take a look. Where is it? If we go on board, I think this is this car. Yes, it is. We go on board with him. Here we go.
So here you're thinking, right, I'm going to have to try and find a way past. But since he doesn't take into account the GT3, he just gets knocked out of the way.
Yeah. I think the miscommunication there, as we can take a look at it once again. Miscommunication there. Look, Nick is staying on the left-hand side, not going over to the right, staying on the left-hand side. And I think that the Delta JM Motorsports car thought that, well, the right-hand side, as you see this GTE do here, is the normal line you take. So I think that car thought, well, he's got to go over to the right. I'll stick to the left so he can go over to the right. But yeah, I think a little bit of miscommunication there.
What's your view on it? What do you see out of that incident?
I think the BMW should have pulled out of the way. You could have clearly seen the LMP2 car coming up behind him, and I feel that the BMW was at fault there.
Yeah, but I think it's a bit hard to put fault on anyone there, because I think, as we see, I think even Bremer going off here, not having the best time in that PM Esports Porsche. I think it's a bit hard to blame anyone there, because I think it was just a little bit of miscommunication. And I think in terms of miscommunication, at least I always think that the faster car should have found the safe way around, because the slower car, in my view, never has to pull out of the way. It just has to follow the normal line, which that might be the normal line for Nick there, and he just goes onto the right very late on that straight. But of course, we don't know. We maybe can take a look with Nick. He's not out on track. Free for Kula. We can take a look with him. But you know, the thing is, the LMP2 runs into the back of a car that is going perfectly straight, as is the LMP2. So I think it's still the LMP2 at fault there, because he just literally runs into the back of him, and he could have braked and gone onto the right himself. At least that's my view on it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Max?
Yeah, well, I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree. But again, I guess there's not really a blue flag sort of situation here, as there is 3 different classes, and it is free practice, yeah. So, yeah, agree to disagree then. Yeah,
well, I think the blue flag still does exist, but it means something very differently. The blue flag just is there to warn you, watch out, there's a faster car coming up behind, and not move away, there's a faster car coming up behind. It's just a warning flag, kind of, to say, hey, watch out, there's a car coming up behind you which is considerably faster than you, overlap.
Yeah, well, Dan, I reckon, I'm going to ask you this. Do you reckon that that's put a question mark over how well people are going to get past traffic if people are taking different lines already in practice? How do you think it's going to go for the race?
I think that this practice, and that is why everyone has to do the mandatory laps, you learn in practice which teams take which lines. And that is why I think practice is so important for everyone else, and that is why I do not get why some teams are just not out there on track. We have 18 teams that have taken part in this practice session, but we have around the 60 teams that are in this championship. So I think that all teams should, and there is of course a rule not in place for that, but I think that all teams at some point need to do a certain amount of lap every practice, because you learn in practice, you learn which teams you need to watch out for, you learn which drivers are more familiar with the track. You learn which drivers are more comfortable in traffic. You learn which drivers are more comfortable being lapped, and you just learn the behavior of drivers in different situations if you're lapping them as an LMP2 car and as a GTE car.
Yeah.
I agree with that, yeah.
As you see the Team Kirsten's car then in the lovely BMW M4 GT3. It is a very, very nice car.
Oh yeah. It does sound vastly different to the GTE car, which to be honest, I did not expect it to sound that different to the GTE car. But if you just have a look on board, you guys can hear the sound. This is what it sounds like going into turn 1 with the GT3. I think the GT3 just sounds a little sweeter than the GTE does, because if you hear this, my goodness me, does that sound more aggressive?
Yeah, well, they are two different models in real life as well, the GT3 being the M4 and the GTE being the M8. So I haven't heard the M8 start up in real life. I've heard the M4 come past me a few times on the road, but the M8 I haven't heard in real life. So could have a similar engine, but GTEs also probably will have a different engine to the GT3s.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was surprised because it's made by the same manufacturer. So there's a BMW engine in it, I think, and why does it sound so vastly different? Because there is no way if you put the two sounds after each other, you let someone guess, is this the same? Is this made by the same manufacturer? They would never say yes, I think.
I think some of the tones will sound similar, but not all of them. As we see the Lamborghini, they're going very wide.
I think that is the Arvensis Racing Red car. Let me quickly take a look. Yes, it is. There we have it. Letting the BMW by nicely. Of course, the GTEs do have a little bit more of aero on the car, but I think in the infield with these slow corners, it doesn't really matter that much. As we have, I think, 2 GTE cars out on track. No LMP cars. It looks like beginning of the practice is always very, very busy with those LMP cars. But then once you get to the end of practice, or once you get further into the practice, the LMP cars become very, very quiet.
It's probably less traffic for them. Because if you think about it, if you're an LMP2 car and you go out in practice, and at the very, very start, you go out in practice, fill the track full of LMP2 cars, all of them out there, get your laps in, and then pit before all the GT3 and E cars come out on track, then you're going to put yourself in a good spot. Max, watching this now, considering that all the LMP2 cars have pitted only an hour and a half into practice, do you reckon we could see something similar come Saturday with qualifying? All the LMP2 cars come out first, and then they scatter off into the distance.
There's a rule in place for that. I don't know if you know. The qualifying goes as follows. I'll answer in Max's place here because I think he won't know. The first 15 minutes is for LMP2. Then we have a 5-minute cooldown wherein the LMP2s can finish their laps, and the pit exit will be closed for LMP2s and all other cars. Then after those 5 minutes, after 20 minutes, the pit exit will open for the GTE cars. They will then have 15 minutes. So after 35 minutes, the pit exit will close for the GTE cars. Then at 40 minutes, the pit exit will open for the GT3 cars. And then they have 15 minutes to finish their laps. And then the last 5 minutes will be spent, of course, by the GT3 cars finishing their last lap. And that is just to avoid the other cars being stuck in traffic in qualifying.
Yeah, well, it does make sense.
Well, it's a good rule. They should have that in F1. Obviously, the slower cars getting in the way of the faster cars, like the Red Bulls and the Williams.
or maybe letting like 5 cars out at a time or something, just to keep the track a bit quieter, because everyone loves a quiet track, don't they, guys? Everyone loves a nice quiet track where you can just set your quality laps.
To be honest, I really like the fact that the teams now have to work out their places. And how many times do we see Williams holding up a Red Bull? I think it doesn't happen too often in qualifying. And if it happens,
It's more go on.
yeah, and if it happens, I think that's just badly calculated by the teams. The gap between the Williams and the Red Bull in qualifying, at least Q1, which the Williams normally goes out, is around about 2 seconds. So I don't think you would need a slower and a faster car group in F1 practice. I think it's good how they have it now.
Well, in Formula E, they have a similar style, but it's in championship order. So 11 cars go out, and then they come back in. I think it's 12 minutes, the first 11, and then the next 11 cars go out. And it's on championship order, so every other car in the championship, so first, third, fifth, would all go out at once, and then second, fourth and sixth would go out in the second bunch, and then of course you'll have the top 6 going into top 8, sorry, into the duels.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see, to be honest. Maybe bring to endurance racing. That'd be funny to watch.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think with you're comparing two very different things. Formula E has a spec car. The only thing that is not spec there is, I think, the battery and the motors that the teams make themselves. But the chassis and everything else is so similar. It is stock basically, so everyone has to run the same. It is only the setup that makes the difference. And in Formula 1 you have 10 different cars, and sometimes you have even 20 different cars, because every car from every team has a different spec on it to test things. So I think the thing is with Formula 1, they're working, and I think that is something that they need to keep in there, is the improvement over a season. The teams being able to develop their car is also something that is part of F1. And I think with Formula E that has never been the case, so people are used to it being the same cars and the drivers and the setups and the teams making the difference, and not just the development of the car. And I think F1, it has been like that since F1 was invented. And I think if you take that away, that is going to change the whole way people look at the sport.
I agree with you there, mate.
There's a reason why there is a BOP in endurance racing, to keep racing close. And I know that people don't like the Red Bulls being 2 seconds faster every lap than the Williams, but that is just because, of course, it was before this era, it was money. But now it's just really the teams having to work day and night to prepare the best car. And I think we do see the benefit of these of the rule changes, the cars being closer. But you will never get the same thing as you will have in GTE or GT3 racing. And why? Because there is so much aero on the car.
Well, the LMP2s have quite a bit of aero, but as we are now with the M8 GTE, fastest with a 140.9, as we now go to Miles Owen in the TCE Virtual Motorsports 2 car with the other BMW, the M4 GT3.
Only BMWs today.
Everyone's in a BMW.
Well, let me tell you something funny. The only cars out on track, never mind, I was completely wrong. The only other car out on track than a BMW is this ASR orange car. Marcus Rima is the only other car out on track.
Stopping.
And if he's going to exit to the pit lane once again, which I think is going to do, yes, there are only BMWs out on track. Freek Verkoelen in the Team Kerstens car Nick Kerstens in the Team Kerstens car, Shane McNeely in the Akil Racing Cyan car, and the T3 Motorsports car in the GTE field. And then we have Miles Owens in the Platinum Racing Team BMW. BWM. BWM. I will never forget that. BWM.
Where did that come from, BWM?
Just a spelling mistake, and he put it in, and he never changed it.
Oh, I love that guy already.
Yeah.
As we are now actually with the BWM GT3.
It says BMW now, but I'm still going to refer to it as BWM. In fact, let me quickly do this. You guys won't see this on stream. So go on, Max. Jake, take it away.
So we are now with the BMW M4 GT3 as he is going down into the fast left-hander. Miles Owen in the car in the number 445 BMW. As we are in international horseshoe. I don't know why I said horseshoe. Horseshoe coming around now to back onto the banking. So this probably going to be one of the corners where it is so easy to make a mistake because of the elevation change. Max, because just for the viewers, we know that obviously Daytona is a very good track for racing, but I think the thing that people don't realize is just how steep that banking is.
Yeah, the bankings on these normal oval tracks, obviously this is part of an oval track, is so steep. If you look on boards of IndyCar and, well, any racing series for the ovals, it's so steep. And of course it punishes the tyres and it restricts where the drivers can go to overtake or get clean air.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is one of the tracks where it's probably one of the hardest, especially during the oval bits, to get that nice clean air that we're talking about here. As we see him go down into turn 1. Very nice line through there. Slight oversteer there, but he's kept it nice and steady. As he's as the fastest time in GT3 is a 1:42.6.
Nice.
Yep.
Bottom left. We got him.
Hey.
So that is now the proper the proper name in it. BWM. That is the name that they had just 3 races ago, and ever since it's been a meme in the community. So now they are BWM. For the last race of the season, next season of course they will have the proper BMW name, but nope, picking up my daughter at the moment, says Pepper Kerstens. Maybe later in practice today. So maybe later in practice we will see Pepper Kerstens in the waiting room for a nice interview. Well, if you guys just keep an eye out for the waiting room, it'll and you see Pepper Kerstens in there, drag him into here for a nice interview.
Don't worry, we will.
We do still have 1.25 hours left of this broadcast, and at this point I'm thinking, what haven't we spoken about yet? Because in the 10 hours that we've already done, I think, of broadcasting this, just only practice, we have touched on almost everything.
Max, when you race on F1, do you use socks or shoes or barefoot?
Oh, there we go again. Okay, yeah, this is
I'm
a
a
good topic.
barefoot person.
Oh my god.
Barefoot all day long. Socks, you just slip about. Your foot goes off the brake.
What
and then
pedal do you have?
up, and then
Here's mine.
I have Logitech.
Yeah, those are
G29.
metal pedals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I have the Fanatec V2 ones, and there's like something you put over the pedals, which is grippy on socks. So if I use socks, which I normally never do, I do actually have grip, but I normally use shoes. But tell us, why do you use bare feet and not shoes?
Oh, I don't know, to be fair. I've always done it since I first got the wheel. It's just natural.
I feel sorry, just cut in, but I feel like
Yeah,
with
sure.
the Logitech G29, shoes getting in the way a bit. Would you agree with me there, Max?
Yeah, the pedals are quite close, especially if you have the 3 pedals, including the clutch. They're very crammed in, and with big wide feet like I have, it doesn't help.
What size do you have?
I am. Oh, it depends actually what brand. Almost always a 10.
Okay, so I do not get that because I live in the Netherlands. I do not get that shoe size because we are
Think
talking like
44.
okay,
Think.
okay, that is okay. I have 42.
There you go. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think
Yeah,
it's
that
44.
that could be the case.
Basically, George
Yeah.
Russell over here, mate.
Yeah. I'm not quite as tall as him yet, but maybe in the future.
Him yet? He's only 16, my man. So my man can still grow. How tall are you at the moment?
PME Sports have come back out on track. I can't remember. They run in a Porsche
Yes.
for the GTEs, so we have something other than a BMW out on track.
Oh yeah, also
Let's say-
the
sorry,
Marcus
go on.
Riemer in the Lamborghini. But yeah, how tall are you, Max?
I am 6 foot. Well, 5'11", pretty much 6 foot.
Okay.
You want it in centimeters, don't you?
No, I know that 6 foot is quite
Oh, okay,
quite
okay.
big.
Yeah. I'm not as tall as George though. George is like 6'1" or 6'2". Esteban is about 6'3", I think.
Yeah, but you're 16, so you still have a lot of room to grow.
I think my growing's over. To be fair, I've just had a massive growth spurt, so yeah, I think that's over.
Well, something that we use in racing as well is gallons, liters. But what do you guys think? Of course, liters is a little bit more precise than gallons. Gallons you have to work with commas, and if you work with commas in liters, you're even more precise than you are, of course, in gallons. And in kph, it's a bigger number, so you're also more precise there. What do you think is the best using in racing? Kilometers an hour, miles an hour, gallons, liters, meters, miles?
I quite like the use of miles per hour, mainly because I've had it practically all my life. But yeah, I mean, kilometers an hour is very useful for, like, say if a team wants to know how far their car's going over a certain amount of time. But like the actual distance, rather than, because the track, don't forget, is measured in miles. So I don't know exactly how long this track is. Probably something about 4 miles or something. It's quite a big track.
We can have a look at that. Here we go. There we are.
5.6 kilometers. So what's that?
That's about 3 miles. I
Yeah,
think.
about 3 miles long. Oh, and there's a spin.
Does
there
he
for
save
PME
it? Oh, he
Sports.
keeps it out of the tire wall on the left. I thought he was going sideways into the tire wall there.
Yeah, that did look very, very close. But as he goes back to the pits. Yeah, I think I quite like miles per hour.
Oh, guys. Look at this. You recognize this livery, Jake? Which team is this? Don't you know?
No.
Look at the bottom of the GT3. Look who's here.
Emper Sim Sports.
I think we're going to see some 41s in a bit.
Yeah, probably.
But go on with what you were saying. Sorry to interrupt.
So yeah, kilometers an hour. You know, if you're trying to measure where your car's, say it's slow for some whatever, maybe you're driving it down. It's going over a certain distance, so you want to measure it in kilometers an hour just so that you get that more accurate. But if you're doing miles per hour, I feel like it's an easier number for viewers to read, and it's just easier, I guess. It is very precise kilometers an hour, but I quite like miles, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that is of course because you've used it all your life, but isn't having the kilometers an hour, which is more precise, isn't that like better because you're of course more precise?
Yeah, I mean, for the engineering side maybe and stuff like that, but I think I just think miles per hour seems a bit easier to read and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Coming
of course.
from a country using kilometers per hour, I would use kilometers per hour. It's just, firstly, it makes you look really fast when you're probably not going as fast, and yeah, it's just more precise.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was quite thrown off a couple of hours ago because I was doing practice, of course, for the 24 Hours of Spa in the Ferrari 488 GT 3 Evo 2020. Mouthful, fucking hell. Excuse me for my bad language. It was in gallons and in miles an hour, and I was like, well, what is this? Why am I only going like 180 or 200 max on the straight? I was like, something's off
It
here.
all depends on. I guess it all depends on
Where you
what
come
you're
from.
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you've been using in your life, and what you've been driving with in real life, and what you've been just used to seeing all the speed cameras.
well, we have someone in the waiting room. Pepe Kirstens has joined. Oh, never mind, he's gone.
Oh, F.
I did drag him. Oh, hang on, I've dragged him into the other ring.
You nonce.
Here we go. Sorry about that. Pepe Kirstens, welcome.
Hey, you're welcome.
Pepe, we saw you get out there on track a little bit earlier. Tell us how the track conditions are compared to all the other practice sessions, because it seems to be a bit cooler.
This one, yes, it is a lot. I've done the free practice one, and since then I've been training on the hottest moment of the day, so about just 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's the most slippery part of the day, of the part of the track, when the track is most slippery. And then it's a struggle. We've been struggling with the BMW, to be honest, the last week, getting a setup that's working for us, because nearly every setup we have seems to be just a little bit too slippery for us. And right now we're tuning a little bit, so we chose for a little bit more downforce, accepting to lose a little bit top speed, but we want to get through that bus stop fast and don't miss the fifth corner. That's just the two parts which kills us literally.
While you're talking about it.
So yeah, Frank has been complaining about the car. It's just he's very fast on this circuit, but just not with the BMW.
Yeah. Well, Pepe, if you have a look, I'm sharing my screen. Can you have a look at that? Or
just a sec.
because we just saw while you were talking about that, your son Nick going into the Le Mans chicane.
Yeah.
And he actually spun. So the moment you said you guys were having difficulties, of course, with the Le Mans chicane, it happened. So can you just tell us what really is the thing you're finding difficult?
Well, I can't speak for my son, but in generic, at this point, you that here, okay. Yeah, well, he did another error. He went in too fast, and he didn't brake enough, so he couldn't make the corner. You have to really brake on that second corner, or at least have lost that much speed that you can actually make the corner to the third, that you can make a right to the third corner of that of the bus stop. If you got too much speed or too little traction, you're gonna lose it, and that's what he did this time. For me, I tend to brake a little bit harder than he does. I tend to brake a little bit earlier than he does, going into the bus stop. So I don't have his problem per se. but to get any speed out of the bus stop, I have to punch that pedal really soon, as soon as possible, and that's tricky. It's very tricky because you get spun around pretty fast with this car, and then just ram it into the boarding on the other side of the road, which you don't want to do.
Yeah, and well, Pepe, of course, handling the bus stop on your own is, like you said, difficult enough. But handling it with traffic, how are you finding it? Just traffic in general on this track, is it easier than all of the others we've raced on yet?
Oh, I don't really have a problem because I'm just slow. So I think in general, if you talk to the guys racing Impact on the track, on this track, I think they have more issues with me than I have with them, because there nearly never is a car much slower than me going into the bus stop, so I can follow easily. Maybe some of them brake really soon, and I don't expect that could happen. But in general, that's not really a problem for me. When I look at other races or with lesser guards of drivers, yeah, you can get into trouble. In general, I don't try to overtake, and I take the secure route out and just get in and out of the bus stop hole, and do the passing before or afterwards, if I can.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I never did it, but it's never my intention. But sometimes, yeah, a car just brakes really hard and or loses it, and you just fly by, and that's okay. Then you're lucky, because otherwise it would have been carnage.
Well, Pepe, what are you looking forward to in the race? Is it do you guys have a brilliant strategy which you guys are going to try and get, of course, P3 in the AM Championship, because you are still in for a P3. I think it's 13 points to P4 and P3. They're tied in points, so you can still get third. But what are you guys?
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. So many factors. I mean, I'm really the slowest of our. We're racing with three guys: Nick, Freek. I am driving. They are fast. They were able to compete with, I think easily with top 5-4 guys during race. To be honest, I'm not. And there's so many factors in this race, in any endurance race, which can influence your outcome. I think we have to get lucky. We got lucky in Interlagos. I hope to get lucky here again, and just get a good clean race, stay on track, no air damage, and I think we could have a real chance then. Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, look, we had a good race at Interlagos, but the race Le Mans was, well, not that great. That was totally due to bad preparation.
You guys were not expecting to drive then, didn't you?
Not at all. We've been up for 24 hours already. We were just, I mean, just meaning literally minutes back from Curacao from our holiday. We raced home just to make the race, because other drivers who were supposed to drive for different reasons just couldn't, so we had to salvage what we could, but that was not the greatest idea. Let's keep it with that.
Well, of course, you guys early in the year did also the 24 hours of Daytona, the special event by iRacing. Has that helped in any way to prepare for this event?
Yeah, you know the track. I mean, it's I haven't raced on Daytona for a while, but it surely differs a lot. If you've raced and surely when you have raced an endurance race on such a track, you know what to look out for. Yes, you will crash a few times, looking for the optimum setup, getting at the edge of what that car can do or what you can handle yourself. But it's a track. I'm not saying you can drive it with my eyes closed, but yeah, I know it quite well. What differs though is that in the first 24-hour race, I was just happy to be on the track, and now you start to notice the subtle details. That some parts of the track are more slippery than others, that you should stay out of some places. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, it's known territory, but we've learned during the past year, and probably, hopefully, become a little better. Yeah, that's what you notice now. You start to notice more how a setup behaves, more how the track behaves when it's hot or when it's cold, what to watch out for, just to keep your cool and just not push the car too fast when it's just too hot. Just let it slide, and especially during endurance. And I guess when we just started out on, but because Daytona was one of our first endurance races, and not the first actually, that was with you. But you were one of the early endurance races we did, and we were just happy to survive. And we're still happy to survive, but well, we'd like to win now too.
Yeah. Well, Pepe, it's been a pleasure once again to speak to you. Good luck in the race and in qualifying on Saturday. And I think we'll see you during the race, maybe for an interview as well.
Yeah, might be. See you later.
See you.
Hey, cheers.
Well, Jake, like Pepe said, track temperatures really playing into a factor. It is way better, he said, than it was on Monday and Tuesday. So, yeah, well, it looks like the track is ready for some 32 low.
Yeah, well, definitely. It sounded like he was very confident, but I think Team Kirsten still have a lot to do to get back onto winning place. Obviously, they had I can't remember how Silverstone went, but obviously because that race wasn't streamed. But Le Mans, they literally just got back, and that was crazy. That was a crazy race. But yeah, as we see, the Tempest Sim Sport kind of track it a little bit there.
First time they're out on track this whole week.
Prepare for a 130.
Yeah, well, it looks like he's off a little bit. Only a green sector 1. The rest is all not a personal improvement. So it looks like he's off a little bit.
Yeah, well, he might not know the track as well.
Never mind.
As he does a 133.6.
Still 8/10 off of the Delta Motorsports time. So still quite a lot to gain, but yeah, you said they have still a lot to do to get into winning terms. Currently, they're the fastest AM cars, so I think they're looking good with their team for a good result out there. I think Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as we were talking about earlier, you can go off a bit on practice timings because it shows you where all the teams are fastest. As these Tempest Sim Sport now has traffic of the BMW.
That's actually good traffic, you know. That is slipstream for him down the straight. The one time you're happy with traffic.
Yeah, well, we said, didn't we, that sometimes you can get traffic that works just in your favor, especially on straights.
Yeah, well, sometimes it definitely does. The thing that I just think is the most frustrating as a driver is when you get it in the middle of the corner. Just entry corner and you have to follow it. And it's an AM driver. like Pepe said, he's not so confident in himself, but I think Pepe is quite a good AM driver, really. If you give the car to Pepe, 9 out of the 10 times he's going to bring it back in the same state as he got it in. So I think that is something that is very, very important as a AM driver, that you just do your laps and let the pro do the works, or let the pros do the work.
Yeah, that's definitely something that the drivers tend to do. We see now the which one's the PM Esports Porsche 911 RSR.
It has got proper dark now, yes.
Yeah, he's very, very dark.
But the thing is, it's dark
quite
outside, but the lighting, we see a lock up. These cars don't have ABS or TC, these GTE cars. But it's dark, as you see in the background. It's pitch black, but there's so much light here that there's never really night at Daytona. And I think, at least me, that helped me in the night when I needed to race. It was never really night, so when it's dark and I focus on something, I can focus for 1 hour, so that is 1.5 stint in the LMP2 we were doing it in, and then I would just lose a lot of that concentration. So I think that for me it actually does help that there is night lighting.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the waiting room's been busy today as we welcome our double race winner from yesterday, Tom Voss. Tom, welcome.
Hello, hello.
Tom, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Yeah,
Very well, thank you.
I'm good. Are you still enjoying both victories from yesterday?
I'm watching it back every time. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, go on.
Yeah, I need to practice for this. I need to win this also. So.
Well, of course, we see that your team now. It seems like everything you drive, you're flying in it. Your teammate Yuri, I think he's a little bit more off the pace. His last lap time was a 43.3, so I might be wrong with that. But is the team balanced, or is there one who's faster than the other?
Well, to be fair, I think Yuri is as fast as me. Maybe not on raw pace, but he's clearly fast in consistency. He drove a 12 hours race himself, only him.
Wow.
Yeah, I cannot do that. But yeah, I think he's way more consistent. And yeah, I'm like, oh, fast in this lap, and then yeah, make a little mistake and losing 2 tenths. So, yeah.
And what do you think does that come down to, that he is just a little bit more consistent?
Age, I think. Age. I'm always pushing like hell, and then yeah, it goes wrong sometimes. But yeah, it can happen. But I see we are 2 tenths shy of P1 at the moment. So.
1.5. We'll keep it positive.
Oh.
The glass is half full.
Okay. Then I need to join again, I think.
Is that an invitation to the Fields Academy Motorsports car to get out there as well and fight for the fastest time?
Of course. I will smack them now.
Well, that is Tom Voss, quite confident of himself. It seems like, and the ability of his teammate. And well, being so confident, does that help you in traffic as well?
Well, I've seen some situations already in this practice session. Well, we need to watch out for the traffic here, because some guys, are sending it somewhere you didn't expect.
Yeah.
We need to watch out for them, but yeah, you have mirrors, so you need to watch out.
Should be good.
Yeah, should be good.
Well, Tom, that were all questions from me. Jake, do you have any you want to ask?
With obviously Daytona being quite a tricky track, with going from banking to straight track to banking again, tell us how you deal with when the tyres have obviously been stinted. I assume you've been doing some race runs. When the tyres have been used for so long, How do you manage going from the flat surface to the banking and then back down again without spinning?
To be fair, it isn't that difficult. Maybe it will be difficult when it's like 2 p.m. or something. But if I look at our current setup compared to the others, I think we will have entire advantage because a lot of guys are faster on us at the straight. So yeah, I think for us it should be fine.
Is that a setup thing that the others are fast in the straight, or what is
Yeah,
it
wing levels. You can put it on -2, but we are clearly not on it. So
Well, the thing I always think of is -2. Doesn't it also create, when you create drag?
Liftoff.
Yeah, but when you create drag, the wing is in a certain position that it is pushing you down. Why are you not creating drag when it is at -2, when it is producing a little bit of lift at the rear? Why are you not producing drag then? Because you would say that the most ideal way for the wing to be in would be 0 degrees.
Yeah, I also think like that, but some guys are thinking clearly something else, and I hope it works for them, but not for us. At least it doesn't work for us because we don't get any traction out of the corner. So yeah.
So you've opted, I think, then for a setup with a little less downforce, or a little more downforce. Excuse me.
Yeah, more downforce, and I think like in the first stint we will be slower maybe, but in the longer run we will be faster, I think so.
Well, don't you think that with a setup with more wing, and sorry Jake, I'm asking a lot of questions now while I said I was done, but you've asked a very interesting question there, but don't you think that with a setup that is a little bit more draggy and has a little bit less top speed, don't you think it's a little bit more difficult to overtake?
You don't need to overtake in a 12-hour race. Strategy will fix that. So.
Okay. Well, Tom, you go on.
Because when you don't need to take tires like 2 times in a row, and other guys need to do that, you're already gaining 60 seconds on them. So.
Yeah. Well, Tom, you sound quite confident. I hope you stay this confident Saturday in the race, and when
it will be a good fight for sure. Yeah. That's for sure.
When you are and you have some spare time, make sure to pop by in the waiting room, and we'll get you another interview during the race.
I will.
Well, Tom, thank you for your time, and good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Well, Jake, very interesting there. He touched on the wing, and that is something, don't you think, the same as me? If you create lift, isn't it the same as creating downwards force in terms of drag?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you think of it as an airplane wing, basically these wings are literally just airplane wings just flipped upside down and stuck on a car.
Yeah.
So if you've got it -2, that should be creating some drag on the rear end of that car. But yeah, it's cool to know how different teams are taking their eyes in terms of setup wise.
Yeah, because he said that of course they have opted for a higher downforce setup. It would be absolute the alpha male if he now is going to change to a low downforce setup and is going to fly by everyone on the straight. But the thing is, of course, with more downforce, you don't rely on the mechanical grip as much as you do with
spin there.
that is a Tempest car, as you do with the lower downforce. But we, of course, they have listened. Look at that. Is this a way of saying, well, you know, Tom, you can try whatever you want, but you do not have a sister car and you will not get a tow? Are they saying that? Because now they are all out on track both, and I expect a 41 shortly because Christian Streitenberger has the slipstream from Martin Ray.
Yeah, well, it seems that they have reacted very well as both. I was going to touch on that, Dan. Both Field Academy Motorsport cars have come out of the pits.
Yeah. We've seen them do that like 3 days ago on Monday, practicing some fuel management. But it looks like, well, for some reason, now Thomas asked them for a fight for the fastest lap. It looks like they have immediately said, okay, well, bring it up then. But we will absolutely annihilate you now. I absolutely loved, by the way, how he said, I'm gonna absolutely trash them now.
Yeah, that was funny.
But this is definitely not ideal. I don't think he will gain time with this. It could also be just pure coincidence that he is out on track now.
Yeah, it could be. But it is funny how both cars have come out on track.
Well, what do you think is the most amount of laps turned by a team at the moment, this practice session?
Probably, maybe, considering we're 2 hours and 18 minutes in, I'd say maybe 40 laps, something like that.
You are not correct with that. 64 by Shane McNeely in the Akil Racing Cyan car.
Wow.
So this car that we're watching now has the most amount of laps turned at the moment. And I think that it is very interesting to see that he has done 64 and some cars haven't done any laps yet. So they're definitely, I think, behind on practice then, won't they? Jake.
Yeah, they probably have quite a good advantage then, because you want to do a lot of lap times in practice, which is what it's there for. That's why these are 5-hour long sessions. So you want to be doing as much practice as possible.
Here he is.
There he is. They're all out on track now. Yeah, you want to be getting as many laps in as you can, because the more times you lap the track, the more you get used to it, and you actually see at what points you can go quicker. Well, someone's just said in chat, Dan, send me a message. GR Sven.
Dan sent me setup. Why? I do not have any setups for this track. Anyways, track temperature is still 21, but the ambient temp has gone down 1. So engines will be working a little bit better now. But I think we will keep a close eye on this guy, Tom Vos. What will he do in his first lap out once again?
I think he might be very, very close on pace, because he is quite quick in that Lamborghini car. But obviously the Fields Academy Motorsport holding the fastest lap with a 1:42.6. But it'll be interesting to see where he can get up to after all the talk.
Yeah. Well, I think Tom Vos is a man of his word, and I think he will be up into P1 in the moment, but I think he will get beaten very quickly by Christian Streitenberger in the slipstream.
Well, slipstream is everything, as they say.
Oh yeah, especially on the long bankings you have on this lap. As I'm not seeing any green... Oh, never mind. I am seeing green sectors. Green sector in Sector 1. Sector 3 is still not a personal improvement. But into Sector 4 he goes now out of the Le Mans chicane. Now into the last sector. Also not an improvement. So he's going to have to dig deep if he really wants to take that fastest lap. It's 1.5 tenths, and I don't think he can gain that with one personal best sector. We will see in a second. The answer is no. 1:43.00 or 1:42.999.
Is that their car livery, or have is your training paint's not working?
That is, I think, their car livery. Because
on my screen I've got a different livery.
Is that the case? Yes. I can't change that now without stopping the broadcast. But all the other cars, look at this, they have the liveries on.
The strange world of iRacing.
Yes. Well, the wind is definitely picking up a little bit though over the last few laps. Do you think that is going to play into or work against them in any way?
Sometimes it can affect going into the corner. It depends which way the wind is blowing. So it just all comes down to how the wind is blowing and which way it is, and how fast it is, obviously, because sometimes it can blow the cars. Even though these are very heavy cars, it can still blow the car and you can lose the aerodynamics very quickly into a corner. So it all depends on how fast it is and what direction it's going. It's only 7 kilometers an hour at the moment, so not too bad of a wind, and I don't know which way that is going off.
Yeah. I think this is from the south, from what I can see. Yes, it is. But if we look back at a series playing up once again, I hate her, really. I have an iPhone for 2 weeks now, and she's always playing up at the moments I don't want her. And when I shout, "Hi Siri," nothing happens, you see? Just nothing happens.
Maybe it's haunted.
Yeah. Hey Siri! Oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. Okay, now it worked. But now probably everyone who is watching their series has gone off. So, hey Siri, turn on the lights. So, everyone will have turned on their lights now.
Well, if you're just joining us, we are on practice 4 of the Platinum Endurance Championship. We have currently watching Arvinus racing Bread in the Lamborghini GT3 here at Daytona. It is night time now, and Dan is currently playing with the Siri.
It has got to that point. The RD6 sports car, I like this livery as well. This pink and black livery.
Yes, it is very nice indeed.
Sven still hasn't got back to me. He said Dan sent me setup. GR Sven. But I don't get which setup he means, because I do not have a setup on this track.
Of course you do, Dan. No, I'm joking.
But let's see who is first really in the as you see here, the Field Academy Motorsports Porsches showing up behind each other once again. The fastest AM team is the TCE Virtual Motorsports 2 car. Or is it? No, that is the Platinum Racing Team BWM. So I don't know why it's saying TCE Virtual Motorsports 2. But hey, because that's definitely a Platinum car.
But it's saying hashtag racing LMP2 for Tempest.
Yeah, I haven't changed that name yet, but I think I have found the fault. John Sylvester, where are you, my friend? Johnny, where are you, my boy? These are all the new hiccups that this new overlay brings with it.
Iwan, thank you in the chat. He says, "Hi guys, great going tonight." Thank you for that, Iwan. Glad you're enjoying the stream.
Definitely. Well, it's here for everyone to enjoy. Really, it's something that we wanted to do because this is, of course, the last weekend of PAC, and there we go, Platinum Racing Team BWM. We wanted to make it special, and I think we're definitely doing that now with providing everyone coverage of this practice. But having updated that, it is Team Kirsten still fastest car out there on track, quite considerably though, 4/10 the gap there. SR Technic are a little bit further back from that. If we look at the championship, the GT3M, it is SR Technic. They are behind Team Kirsten's 15 points. It is YS Motorsports Blue and Bikes Online the S Racing, and YS Motorsports 2 are nowhere near Team Kerstens. So this could actually be a very good race for them if we look down a little bit. Bikes Online the S Racing, there they are. They are in 5th place in the AM champion or in the AM class. 4th place if you count if you do not count the second Team Kerstens car. But
You always have to count the second car, Dan.
yeah, exactly, because that driver seems to be faster than the fastest driver of Bikes Online the S Racing. Then we have yeah, that was it. So it seems like YS Motorsports Blue is not here. They are not practicing, but it seems like the Team Kerstens car is in great form.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe a strong weekend from them coming in on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Ivan Bremer. They used to be TCE, changed to Platinum a few months ago. So TCE does not exist anymore. It's now Platinum Racing League, or Platinum Racing Team. BWM. Don't forget BWM.
They're very important.
But yeah, thank you for that information, Iwan. Thanks for hopping into the chat. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. We've been going for, I think, over an hour now, for over 2 hours now, really. And there's half an hour left of this broadcast. And if you have any questions, pop them in chat. We will be kind enough to answer them. But Tom Vos, with all his talking, still in P3. And 1.5 tenths off of P1. So his strategy really working.
Strategy of talking loads and not actually performing on track.
As we see now, SR Technic pop up into P2 in the AM class. But still, 3 tenths off of Team Kerstens. That car seems to be in great shape in the AM class, in the GT3 AM class. And that might be courtesy of them doing the 24 hours of Daytona earlier this season, which was, or earlier this year, the iRacing Special event was, which was, of course, one of their first endurance races, like he said.
Thank you for that, Iwan.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Well, we are with the fastest currently in GT3 Fields Academy Motorsport with a 142.6. As they go across the line, is that an improvement? No.
Not really, but it's just 1.1
3.7
off. Which is not bad. We saw, of course, that this car comes alive at the end of the stint. And if we just take a look at the stints, though, we can see that... Oh, that is wrong. I first have to do this. It's always getting used to this, but here we go. Christ almighty. There we go. So Scheitenberger, 8 laps done in this stint. Around lap 25, I think we can expect a little bit faster lap times. But I think that this man, now on pit exit, has popped on some fresh tires, put in a couple of liters of fuel, and is now on quali trim.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what lap times we can get down to now with quali. Because I think most people, don't get me wrong, Dan, I think most people have been doing race runs for this practice session.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what they can get down to in terms of qualifying pace.
This car though, the Tempest Sim Sports car, 132.94. The fastest really, but also not too far off, 1.4. As he goes now purple in Sector 1. He is really sitting for it now. And this is a stint that has been going for 11 laps already. Purple in Sector 1, Sector 2. Not as quick. But he is absolutely on it right now. Is Jorge Augusto. George Augusto, I wanted to say, but that is the British way of saying it. It's Jorge Augusto. That's the Portuguese way of saying it. But Jake, what do you think? Are these guys still going for it, even though they are already almost champion.
Yeah, you gotta put it in every single race, and champions will go that one step further and do it even once they've won the championship. So hopefully a good race from them on Saturday.
I fully agree with that. Well, the thing is, they are putting a big record down, and I think we need a record book somewhere, because these guys have led for 18 hours straight, just straight, with pit stops and everything. They have led straight out of the gate. Even with the pit stops, they were still first. They were always the last one to pit. So they have led for 18 hours straight, and I don't know what it was in Silverstone, but if they led the 6 hours there for the whole race as well, they have led for a full 24-hour race, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that is
It's
already, I
crazy
think,
to
a
think about.
very hard record to beat.
Yeah, it has to be. Especially in PEC where there's different races, and you know, people can do practice a lot more than you can in real life.
Yeah.
So
Tom Vos, though, even though he is out on some fresh tires now, I think he's just gonna come to his new lap. Here we go then. Go on board for a second, and we'll keep quiet for now, and we will let you enjoy this sound. That was a lap around this circuit, and Jake, that has just not put him up into P1, P2. It is for him, 700ths of a second behind.
it was very close, and indeed, with only 700ths of a second, that is very close. So maybe if he goes for another run, we could see him maybe get up to the top spot.
It was an improvement in Sector 2 that did it. So it can give you a couple of hundreds, maybe thousands, to improve in one sector and keep just above your personal best in all the other sectors. But it looks like he is vibing right now in that second place. He was very confident, and I think he will keep very confident. Bikes Online DS Racing, though, have got very close to the back of the Team Kersten's car. It's 91 thousandths of a second there, but it's still this car, Pepe Kersten's, ahead.
It's certainly all panning out, ready for Saturday. These guys do still have one more practice session, I think,
Yeah,
but that won't be streamed, I believe, because we have a day off.
yes, but if I see this, thing is, if I see this, I get very hyped for the race on Saturday, because Daytona, it's a slipstream fest. It's a slipstream fest.
Oh, it is.
So the thing is, once you get into that slipstream, and even if you're a second slower, you will keep in that tow. As we see a spinner ahead of him, I think that's his teammate. I think that is Nick Kerstens.
As Tom Voss has just gone fastest.
It was Tom Voss. Oh, even faster than the slowest. Oh, and he puts it into the wall immediately as a celebration. But there he is, like he said. And it was an improvement in Sector 5, so maybe a little bit of slipstream that did it there. But wow. Great lap time from him there. If we go to the overall, you will see that it's actually faster than one of the GTEs.
Oh yeah. No, it's not. Yeah, it is.
The Iwex Sim Racing Team 2. Which is a pro GTE team.
That just shows then that it is a very, very good lap time around here.
Yeah. That just shows how quick Tom Voss was there. Well then, coming up to the last quarter of free practice broadcasting. Jake, what have you enjoyed the most about these 3 practice sessions?
I think just seeing how the drivers, actually prepare, because when you come into a race on Saturday, normally, we just see the qualifying and then the race. But I think I've enjoyed seeing how the drivers actually prepare themselves, and how we haven't seen many more mistakes than we normally would in the race, and that's because these drivers are finding the limit constantly of this track and obviously what their car can do. So yeah, that's been the most thing I've enjoyed.
Yeah, well, the fact that we haven't seen as much off-tracks incidents or whatever than in the race just tells you how good these drivers are as well. As the last lap time, 149.199. Something must have happened in that lap. Christian Streitenberger in that car. Oh, and yes, something did happen. Take a look at this. This is what happened to that car in the last lap. Too wide into the National Horseshoe. Oh, just a touch there. And I thought I saw some damage on the front left of that car. And yes, like you can see, there it pops in. That is not going to help that car's long run pace.
No, definitely not. It will probably start to create quite a bit of drag for the car.
Yeah. That car not as aerodynamic as it was before anymore.
Well, as we look onto the last couple of minutes of the broadcast, can Fields Academy Motorsport react? Dan, what do you reckon?
I don't think so. I think Fields Academy Motorsport is more based towards the long run instead of the shorter run lap time. But I think that was on race fuel. That was a qualifying-esque lap. So with a qualifying mentality, but with a race setup. And that brings you like 2-3 tenths usually, because of course you dial down or you dial back braking zones a little bit in the race trim, and just to be safe everywhere really.
As we are now with the Fields Academy Motorsport, the sister team in 4th place. Their last lap being a 1:43.3.
And look how close it is there at the top of GT3 AM. There is just 6 tenths between the top 4 and very, very close. And MP2 is even closer though. 5 tenths between the top 5. Wow, very, very close there I think. Definitely in range to slipstream past someone on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a slipstream fest, let's face it, like you said, because especially the long banks feel like there's just going to be car after car after car in a very long line, like we saw yesterday. A very long line of cars just coming round.
I think the thing is with Daytona and LMP1s, of course they create a bigger gap in the air. So the thing is with them, that of course you have more slipstream, so from 6 tenths back you can still pass. I think in the MX-5s yesterday we saw that even though you had the slipstream, overtaking from 6 tenths back was not on. Maybe 2 tenths back was the maximum, but once you were out of the slipstream you lost so much as well. So it's very interesting to And I think why that is because they have just no aero and just all mechanical grip. So every little bit of slipstream that they can get, I have a feeling they keep the slipstream during the corners as well, because they're all relying on mechanical grip.
Yeah, it probably is one of them things, because if you're very close to a car, most people think slipstream, oh, it's just in the straight, but no, you can get slipstream through the corners. So if they're relying on mechanical grip, then they'll probably be focusing on trying to stay behind the car. As I've said this before many times during the actual race, that you can use that slipstream if a car's lapping you. If, say, you're the GT3 and a GTE's just lapped you, probably better. You can't really follow an LMP2 in a GT3 car. But if you're following them, stay behind them, you could probably gain more time on the car ahead, maybe a tenth or two on the guys in front. So that boosts your race quite a bit.
Yeah, it definitely does. The thing with just the GTs is the GTEs, it already gets a little bit more difficult. Why? Because they have a little bit more aero. So they have a little bit more of aero wash behind the cars when you're following one. And I think that is difficult for these GT3s as well. Once they get overtaken by a GTE, it is something very different to when you run behind a GTE.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you follow behind an LMP2, then the car's not as similar shape as an LMP as a GTE is to your GT3. So I feel like the GTE is probably easier to follow, and you can definitely use it to your advantage.
Yeah. But talking about racing, then, of course, them as drivers are looking forward to certain things. But I asked you in the beginning which you were most looking forward to, and you said strategy was the biggest. But
yeah,
now you've seen all the drivers so close. What are you looking forward to mostly now? Is it still the strategy or just the racing?
Because I've seen now how close every single driver is in every single category, and I think we've got one hell of a race ready for us on Saturday.
Oh yeah, I definitely think we do. I think it's not only a race within the car categories, but in the car categories, of course, we have Pro-Am as well. And I think that is something that is going to be looked at as well. RD Sim Sports here, towing up behind the Tempest Sim Sports car. They, to be honest, I expected more from them. They are currently down in P11.
Ouch.
Not the best card or not the best track this for Tempest Sim Sports. If we look at the championship, GT3 Pro, Tempest Sim Sports 10 points behind Fields Academy Motorsports. So if they were quick, the thing is here, Fields Academy Motorsports have 2 cars and Tempest has only 1. But I do not know which Fields Academy Motorsports car that is, to be honest. There is no number.
Well, tracks do tend to suit different drivers.
Yeah, but there is no number in the championship, so I don't know which car that is. But depending on which car it is, the Tempest guys might have a big problem here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they are losing out to the fastest guy at the moment, then their championship battle could be quite bad.
Yeah. And of course, how hard is it if you lose it on the last race by 1 point? Of course, we've seen it happen a couple of times in Formula 1 as well as in all other categories. But how difficult is it to take something like that? Do you take it on the chin, or are you just sore about it for I don't know how long?
Depends what race it is, really. I mean, sometimes you can take it on the chin and just think, right, next race, head down. But if it's the last race of the season, you go into your bedroom, grab some ice cream, and cry yourself. No, Jim.
Cry yourself to sleep.
Yeah, no, I think it's something that you'd be very, very disappointed about. But then there's that mentality of we'll take it on the chin and come back next year or next season to fight better.
Well, of course, these guys lost all their points when they changed names, I think. So for them to come back really and still mount a title fight, after the first issues, and that is not what you want to see. Cars stuck in the tire barrier. Yeah. Oh no, he magically got out of it once again. But that is not what you want to see as preparation for the race. This man, Tom Voss, still fastest in the GT3 field. He now pulling over as well. Is it time for the camera shy time?
Yeah, I think it's camera shy.
Martin Ray, the only Fields Academy Motorsports car out on track at the moment. 11 of you here watching a practice session. Welcome everyone. I did not expect to be that many of you here watching a practice session, but if you have any questions, just ask them in chat and we will happily answer them in the last 10 minutes of this broadcast of this second to last practice session before we get into the race on Saturday. And Jake and I will happily answer them. This car put in a fastest first sector last lap, a 1:43.8. That is just a tenth and a half off of what their fastest lap time is. But yeah, it looks like to me that the Fields Academy Motorsport guys do have the edge now over the Tempest SimSports Pack GT3 car. Don't you think so, Jake?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, maybe this is a track that suits Fields Academy Motorsport better than Tempest SimSports, but we'll have to find out on Saturday, where it all comes down to the obviously 12-hour race, and 12-hour races aren't won on lap 1, funnily enough. So hopefully we'll see strategy come to it as well, and see how the drivers react to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to look at that as well on Saturday. But I think it depends on the track time if the drivers will be triple stinting or double stinting in LMP2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they could think about, let's double stint it. Depending, I think nighttime, Dan, is when we'll see a lot more of the double stinting.
Yeah. I'm just fixing something really quick here. I think if I do this. Oh my goodness me. Righty. Which driver is in that car now? It's Jorge Augusto.
What are you trying to do, Dan?
You're gonna see in a second. You do need to help me after the broadcast, though.
Yeah, no worries. So as we can see here, the pink Lamborghini of RD SimSport, number 358, going into the International Horseshoe. This is quite a tricky one, where if you can lock it, if you lock up the brakes, you don't tend to do in GT3s because they both have ABS and traction control. Coming now back onto the banking, as we can see, lovely line through there. He's taken the wide line on there. You can take the tight line, but there is wide line for the GT3s. So you want to be down onto the yellow and black line there of the I keep forgetting what that's called, the anyway, as we come now back onto the straight. They are now using the NASCAR and the oval version of this track.
Look at that.
And this bit, and then they come back round to, oh, you've changed it. As they come back round to the
Le Mans chicane.
Yeah, the Le Mans chicane. So we're now with the Tempest LMP2.
So, Tempest LMP2 now out on track, and now the name has changed, so they're now with their proper name as they would have liked. Tempest SimSports Pack LMP2, and the GT3 team is just called Tempest SimSports Pack. Well, the thing is, I think with this team, they are so consistent in the race, and like you can see, 33.5 on race trim, and I'm interested to see how long he's been going in this stint for. As we can see, 23 laps, so he's at the end of his stint, but still his tires are still very much alive. And might even be going faster this lap as he has put in a green sector 1.
Could we see them get down to the 131s?
I don't think so. It's still a big gap, and he has done a stint on these tires, but a 132.8 is or 132.799 is definitely not a bad lap by the Delta Motorsports #40 car.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Does Tempest Sim Sport and GT3 go faster with a 143.9?
No, it looks like it's only the first sector which is green. It can still be an improvement though, but it looks like second and third sector are quite some way off, as is the fourth. So I don't think that Jorge Augusto will improve this time round. Although he will be close, I think, but not improve this time round. Here he comes then. I think he has lost too much in sector 2, 3 and 4. Yeah. 33.5. Only 8 tenths off of the fastest lap in this session for an LMP2. At the end of your stint, that is definitely not too bad with tires that have 24 laps on them.
Well, maybe he's going for race pace more now than qualifying.
Yeah. I think if he goes for race pace now, I think that explains why he is not pushing the tires, although the tank is empty.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's going up to traffic, going up to the banking.
Ooh, that is not going to help his stint. And again, this leads me back to these are the first lap for both Tempest cars. And you can see that they lack some practice. They are inconsistent. They are not as fast as the rest. They're not as fast as they would usually be. So I think they will use this 3 or 2 hour practice which is left after we finish the broadcast to their full ability. Because they are down on practice and you can see it.
Yeah, one of the most important things in racing is that practice. If you don't get practice in, then you're just not going to be quick.
But Jake, I think sadly for us the free practice coverage has come to an end. I will be gentle enough or kind enough to show you guys it on the side, but well, it has been amazing to be able, as something is looking weird here. Give me a second. This looks way better. But the thing is, practice is done for us now as coverage. We have had our practice for the race. The drivers will have more practice tomorrow. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. I think Jake and I definitely did, didn't we, Jake?
Yeah, we did.
What did you enjoy the most? Just a quick sum up of what you've liked the most about the practice sessions.
I think it's the same as earlier, to be honest. You know, I've liked seeing how the drivers have developed and following their lines, and obviously it's good to see a lot of spins because a lot of drivers do tend to spin in practice. But it's better to do it in practice than the race. So I think it's been interesting to see how the drivers have been, you know, working on their perfect lines, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, last but not least, I want the top 3 for every class from you for the race on Saturday.
The top 3.
We'll begin with GT3. And
GT3.
overall,
I'm gonna go
not AM.
with Tom Voss's team, which is the hang on, I'll get it up here. Which is Arvinus Racing Red, and then I'm gonna go Fiat Academy Motorsport because they are very, very close, and then maybe even Platinum Racing Team BMW for BWM, obviously, of course. GTE, I'm just gonna go with the top 3 that are here because we haven't seen much GTE out on track during practice. So I'm going to go T3 Motorsport, PM Esports and Crips Racing. For LMP2, I'd quite like to see Tempest Sim Sport at the top because then they'd have a 100% win rate in the last few races. And then Platinum Racing Team LMP2 Blue. And I'm going to go with Delta Motorsports, number 40.
Yes. Well, my top 3 will be then for the race. It's the Arvensis Racing Red team that I think will place second in GT3. I think Fields Academy Motorsports will be first in the race. And I think that ASR Orange will be third. So Austrian Sim Racers Orange the third, the team that is third now as well. LMP2, and I'm going to do it in a little bit of a different order. I think that Platinum Racing Team LMP2 Blue will finally get their victory. Behind that it will be Tempest Sim Sports Pack LMP2. And behind that I think it will be Kuruma Motorsports. Then leading on to the GTE. I think that T3 Motorsports will get their maiden win in that BMW in the last race of the year. Then Crips Racing will finish second as it stands, the champion of GTE, already crowned champion in the last race at Silverstone. And then I think, let me quickly have a look, because I do not think that one of them who is here. I think that Astro Racing will finish third. No. New top 3, T3 Motorsports, T3 Motorsports, managed by Pack GTE first. Second, Astro Racing. And third, it will be Crips Racing. So, an overall podium for an AM team in the GTE. That is what I think. Well, Jake, I have very much enjoyed it doing this together with you. I hope you did as well.
Yes, of course I did.
For us, for me and Jake, it'll be... Thank you for watching the practice. It is something new that we did. If you have a top 3, leave them in the comments below when this gets made a video, because of course it's a little bit late not to do it in the live stream. But put it in the comments and we'll look back after the race. Maybe someone of you got it right. Do GTE, GT3 and LMP2 all together. That would be nice if we could interact together with you guys like that. But that was it from me, Jake, John and James from practice. For the 12 hours of Daytona. We will be back with you on Saturday at 12 p.m. Central European Time with the qualifying, and at 1 p.m. Central European Time the race. Until then, like we always say, stay safe.